Hello, everyone. Let's wait just a few seconds for all the attendees to be here for the start. Okay. So it's a pleasure to be here today to talk to you about OptiCARBON. This tool is designed to help ship owners and operators predict the fuel consumption of their vessels. With OptiCARBON, you'll be able to anticipate operational costs and understand the various taxes, whether they are from the IMO or the EU. OptiCARBON was created to help you build your decarbonization strategies and optimize your costs. And this is where we differ from other available software. OptiCARBON is not just for showing you how much you will pay in operation or carbon taxes. It is for finding solutions to optimize this. Today, I'd like to break this session into three parts. First, I'll introduce you to OptiCARBON and what it can do. Then I'll give you a live demo of the tool so that you can see its potential for yourself. And finally, my colleague will share how OptiCARBON is being used at Brittany Ferries. Because I'm lucky to have Brice Robinson with us today. He is a project and studies manager at Brittany Ferries. And trust me, you'll want to stick around to hear from him. Spending 20 minutes with Brice is worth more than spending a whole day reading a research paper, okay? Um, Before we dive in, let me give you some context. We've been able to collaborate on this tool over 2 years. OptiCARBON was developed by Bureau Veritas, initially to meet the needs of Brittany Ferries. So OptiCARBON was created by combining the expertise of a classification society like BV with the operational experience of a long-standing ferry company like Brittany Ferries. So actually, Brittany Ferries is OptiCARBON's first client, and that's why we wanted to invite them to this webinar so they could share their experience and how they use the tool. This year, the tool has evolved to meet the needs of companies not only in passenger segment, but also in the cargo segment. And my final word is that I'm incredibly grateful once again to Brice and his team. Their trust and willingness to share their real world insight have been absolutely crucial to build OptiCARBON. I think you are already familiar with our two groups, but let me quickly share some key figures to set the stage. Bureau Veritas generated 6.2 billion euros in revenue in 2024. We have 84,000 employees helping over 400,000 clients across 1,500 offices in 140 countries. On my side, I'm part of Bureau Veritas Solutions, Marine and Offshore, the advisory branch of BV, and our mission is to support clients and provide tailored solutions. We have over 150 experts worldwide, and in the domain of greenhouse gas strategies, we have successfully supported more than 30 studies. This experience, combined with feedback from our clients, have been instrumental in building OptiCARBON. Now, let me hand it over to Brice, who will introduce Brittany Ferries. Brice, if you are here, you can switch on your microphone and camera, but maybe you are facing some issue for the connection.
Do you read me?
Oh, yes, yes, we can. Thank you, Brice.
Okay, perfect. Sorry for that. So yes, Brittany Ferries, we are a ferry operator. So we have 13 ROPACs under operation between 14 destinations in UK, Ireland, and Spain. We are using three main types of fuel: HFO, 50%, 10% MDO, 40% LNG. Building up a fuel budget is becoming more and more tricky task as the regulations are enforcing us to reduce our emissions. And the new criteria of CRI, the new ETS, FuelEU, upcoming UK ETS, and possibly GFS makes it rather complex. So we have decided to develop a tool dedicated for that to predict at the best our fuel consumptions and related emissions. It started in after MEPC 78 in 22, where we launched a tender for the making of a global consumption software. And the two companies, BVS and Adrena, were awarded, and the project really started in early 23. Just after that, it was decided to split the project in two distinct applications, which are both based on numerical twins calculations that have really made progress the last recent years and allows to do quite accurate calculations with regards to ship consumptions, taking into account adverse weather effects such as wind and waves. So OptiCARBON is more designed for global fleet consumption. So the numerical twins is more simplified as on use on Adrena. Adrena is really dedicated software for day-to-day crossings, taking into account the exact weather forecast the ship is going to meet and the current and so on to make sure his ETA is calculated at the best.
Thank you for the introduction, Brice. Now I can present you OptiCARBON. I have just few slides to show you, then it will be the live demo. So what is OptiCARBON? It's an advanced web-based SaaS, meaning a software as a service solution designed to support and adapt your decarbonization strategy over time with Bureau Veritas support. So I insist on this word, SaaS, software as a service. It means we do not only provide OptiCARBON, we want to be a support with you to build these decarbonization strategies. The tool can be beneficial for lots of different users, companies, but the top beneficiaries are ship owners, operators, and charterers for different segments. We have the passenger segment with ferries, ro-ro, and cruise ships, but also cargo ships, tankers, LNG carriers, bulk carrier, container ships, and more. Actually, OptiCARBON was created to address four needs. Okay, the first is that regulation constantly evolve, making compliance challenging, and that's why we offer a software as a service, meaning that again we continuously update calculation as new regulations take effect, and we also arrange regular meetings to keep our clients updated. The second one is that it will cost millions in carbon taxes for lots of ship owners or charterers, and we want to work with them to reduce these taxes. The third point is that making strategic fleet decisions based on individual vessel data is complex, and our tool provides voyage level granularity while helping the users identify the most cost-effective solution, but from a fleet management perspective. And the last is that lots of companies have already thought about all of this, but they are doing those calculations on a spreadsheet or equivalent, and they are not sure about the calculation. They are not able to work effectively with their colleagues, and that's why we offer this user-friendly, all-in-one solution designed for team efficiency. So how it works, how to get started with OptiCARBON. From the client, from you, we only need two things. The vessel characteristics, meaning the speed power curve, for instance, the engine characteristics, PTO if you have such things, and the operating profiles of your vessels if you have. Then BV solution, with my team, we digitalize the fleet, we implement operating profiles in OptiCARBON, and we build decarbonization strategies with you if you need. After that, you have access to the tool, you have access to OptiCARBON, you can create, test decarbonization strategies. Here you have different scenarios, you have a baseline, but you can then try a new one with technological upgrade for a certain vessel on a certain year, try operating change. You can work on onshore power supply, on biofuel mix also. And with all of those scenarios, you can see the cost of the investments and see the return on investment. Now I'll share my screen so that you can see the application. Here is the login page, so you can log in. Uh, it's one environment, one link by a client, so that the database is only for one company. It's not shared. But what you can share is your scenario inside the environment with your colleagues. So here with all users, if you have colleagues with public scenarios, you can access it, work on it with them. So here what I will show you first is how the schedule can be used. The schedule is where you have your fleet plan. For the example, here for the trial, for the demo, I have a fleet of those vessels. I have a tanker, a container, a bulk, LNG carrier, ferry, general cargo, etc. And I associate for 2026 for every week a typical line. Let's say I want to edit this line. So for the second week of 2026, I need to change one route. And you open this tabulation with the line edits. What you see in blue is the seagoing phase. We can see here from Bilbao to Portsmouth, for instance, with this distance and these speeds. And in gray is the call duration. So let's say, for instance, I need to change my vessel here on Wednesday. I want it to arrive earlier at 8 because I need to make a bunkering. So I've changed it quite easily. But I go back to the fleet edit and check the warnings first because we've built different algorithms to check if it's possible what is actually implemented. And what we see here is that there is at least one port for which either the arrival or departure is not possible because of tides. So it means my vessel is not able at this date to arrive at the port. So it's maybe too early, so I need to change. So let's change it to 820, for instance. And there is no more warning, so it's validated. I can do this. I can do this, so I want to apply this. I want to say, okay, my bunkering is going to happen for this voyage. Then you have the port view because you want to share this. So you switch to the good week and you see that at your port, you have your ferry from this time to this time, and you can share it with a PDF export to your colleagues or to the port, to the commandment, to the captain, etc. So this is one phase of the use of the tool. You can also work on the prediction, of course, with the operating profiles I've shown you. You can change it easily here. And you have here the vessels. So I've already talked a bit about it, several different vessels of your fleet. And what we can see here also is that there is a cargo under construction. This is important to understand that as it is a digitalization of a vessel, we can even have this vessel in the tool, even if it's under construction, so that you can see the impact of this vessel on your fleet, on the FuelEU Maritime pooling, for instance, so that you adapt your strategy. So you can do this here. Then you have the scheduling module. On each vessel, you have the start year of your scheduling, the end year, and you just have to associate the fuel used to the engine. So you have the propulsion engine, so main engines, but also the auxiliary engine, the boilers, and for that you have lots of different fuels, and you can create your own one, of course, in the database. If the vessel has batteries, you can work on it here also. You can work on the configuration, meaning if you want to apply a retrofit, and on the operating profiles, because if you are having I don't know 100 tankers, you can try to switch the vessels between the lines so that maybe there is a configuration which could be better. Then you have the outputs. So that's just it, and then you have the outputs. Here you have the CII, so you have the different ratings. You have also in the tooltip all the values. You have the end of compliance for those vessels having bad ratings. You have the graph also. You have the consumption then, so you choose the fuel, let's say HA4, and you have all the value, all the consumption of the vessels over the year. You have the total, you can see for the years coming. You can export it as a spreadsheet also if you want to work on it outside of the application. You have the emissions, the greenhouse gas emissions for every vessel. You have the graph also. So if you want to share to the marketing team, communication team, managers, investors, you can share those graphs to show your strategy over the year to reduce your carbon footprint. And you have the same also for the CO2 on a tank to wake basis, but also GHG on a tank to wake basis. Then you have the FuelEU Maritime. So in this one, you have the reference in gray and the intensity of the vessels in Europe with also the allocation of the fuel. So if you are having some biofuel mix between a European port and a non-European port, it's already taken into account in the tool with validation of from BV. Of course, it's one of our strengths to propose this tool. And you have a table with a different intensity, with the reference, the fleet pooling, penalty estimate, and you can work on it here also. You have then the costs. In the cost, you have this table which represents the total cost for every vessel. But the total cost, what does it mean? It means you have the EU ETS cost. You have here the table with the graph also for the EU ETS. You have the fuel costs, the shore connection costs, so the cold ironing, but also the FuelEU Maritime penalty cost. And what I want to add is if you want to have also the operational cost including in this tool in this total cost table also, we can. The tool is made modular and the idea of that is to make the tool tailored to every needs. So we can adapt what is in the application and we can add new things. We can add new KPI if you want to have. One last thing is this one, the net zero framework global fuel intensity, even if it's not adopted, I think it's interesting to have it in the tool so that you can see how your vessels are in terms of intensity worldwide and see also the penalty estimate you could have starting from 2028. So that's basically how the tool works. Now I will show you 2 or 3 ways to use this tool to improve your strategy, and then I let the floor to Brice to tell us how Brittany Ferries is using the tool. So first of all, let's say I have my tanker here. The end of compliance in CII is 2029, and I'm not happy with it. I want one of the D letter here to turn into a C so that I keep my vessel. So I click on this little button to open the simulation view. On the simulation view, I have as a first part all the parameters in which I can work. So I can work on the configuration, on the operating profiles, the fuel chosen, the shore connection also, even the cost of the EU allowance or the fuel costs, so that I can work on this to see the financial impact. And with that, you have this big table with lots of information. You have the total over the year, but also the total of your line, because it can be separated into lines. And even inside it, you have the different voyage here. So for instance, we have here Rastanura to Mumbai, but we can even go into more detail, separating this voyage into the seagoing phase and the docked phase, the call duration. So you are able to identify where you are losing efficiency on this vessel. You have the itinerary part here. Then you have the CII with the rating and the value. You have then the consumption for the engine, the main engine here, but also the main engine pilot if you are using LNG, for instance. Same for the auxiliary, the boiler. You have lots of details. You have the emissions, all of them, the fuel intensity, and the financial part. So now let's say we want to turn this D later into a C later. First of all, maybe we should change the fuel. Maybe MDO is better than HFO, so we can change it. And we see the value is reducing, but not enough. So maybe what I can do is change the configuration of my vessel because I wanted to do so, and maybe it's the right year. And the configuration, what do I mean by this, is having a retrofit. For the example, I've created a retrofit, a bulbous retrofit, which costs you €500,000 and improve the propulsion efficiency by 3%. You can also make proper retrofit here, hull coating, aero optimization, and I'm saying all these words because it's what we are doing also in BV solution. If you are having some retrofits, we can do this in BV solution. So let's say I opt for this solution, the bulbous retrofit, or I want to see if it's the right solution. In the simulation, I change my configuration to the retrofit one. I see that the CII is now reduced. I have the C rating, so maybe it will be a good idea to have it implemented for 2028. And we can see the impact on the financial cost also, because by reducing by increasing the improvement of the propulsion, I'm reducing the consumption and then the total price also. So maybe I can see the return on investment here with 2 or 3 years. So I want to apply this now to my vessel. So my tanker in 2028, I changed the fuels. Okay. For this year, and I also I apply my retrofit, and I do this for the years after also. Then in the outputs, we see the CII is now turned into a C. So the end of compliance is 2031. So good news, maybe that's my solution. What else can I do with OptiCARBON? Let's now work on FuelEU Maritime, for instance. Here in the intensity, I'm seeing that my container, the container one, is not good. It's above the reference, and I want to reduce it to reduce the penalty estimate. I don't want to make retrofit this time. I just want to use biofuel. Okay, I have this tabulation here, the optimization one, in which I choose my vessel, I choose my year, and that's just it. You have here a graph with in red the total cost with the increment of 1% biofuel in the mix of biofuel fossil fuel for this vessel, so on MDO. And you can have it for the LNG also. And what we see here is that there is an optimal. I mean, for next year, for this vessel, for the configuration I've chosen, I should use an average of 2% biofuel. So to have this average, I will create the fuel. So in my database, in the fuel, I create a new one, and it's a blend one. So here I choose my biodiesel, I choose my MDO, and I say, okay, I want to have it at 2% biofuel. It's created. You don't have to worry about the emission factors, etc. Everything is BB proof, and you're sure about the prediction. So you go back to the scheduling for the container, and you say, okay, I want to choose in 2026 to this new fuel and see the outputs. And in FuelEU Maritime, now the value is 89, and we do not have penalty estimate anymore. That's another way also to use the tool. I have one last example to show you. This one is on simulation. Let's say I want to work on my ferry for next year. What I want to test is, okay, what if I take 30 minutes more in the seagoing phase and 30 minutes less in the cold duration, and this for the year, for the entire year? What's happening? So for that, I've created an operating profile with this done just to compare. And so what I will do is create two simulations so that I have two tables to compare, and that's it. So this one show the financial part. Maybe I can show also the consumption. With these new operating profiles, with much more time on the seagoing phase and less on the call duration. And you see the difference here in the total over the year. There is about 2 million euros difference. It's an example. It's not, of course, the solution, but just by a few clicks, you can see the difference. You can see if it's a good idea and if you want to apply this as your strategy. I will just add one more thing. It's that maybe you would say, okay, but I would earn less in the price of the ticket for my passengers, for instance. Okay, so we can also imagine having this including in the tool, and same for other type of vessel. I will now go back to the slides. I want to talk to this one, the key benefits of OptiCARBON, because we were talking about the challenges and why the OptiCARBON was created. Here you see the pain relievers. So we were talking about the rising environmental taxation. OptiCARBON is able to predict and optimize the costs related to the EU ETS, FuelEU, and other key regulation, but the real goal, the aim of this tool is to improve the return on investment for sustainability initiatives. The second point is the decarbonization challenges, and evolving regulations. What we suggest here is to provide this tool, which will be adapted to every regulation. So of course, the UK ETS is coming. It will be implemented in the tool. But also we have the support of BVS to help you understand the regulations and how OptiCARBON can help you. The third point is the complex decision making. Here you are able to evaluate every improvement, technical but also operational. And we didn't talk about it, but you can imagine having the wind assisted propulsion system implemented in the tool. It will be adapted on each route. It's on the database, but it's easily possible to do this, to try to find if it's the right solution. And then you are able to optimize different things, the fuel strategy, the onshore power supply, the pooling. You can adjust speed, evaluate retrofits also, and this in the same tool. It's an all-in-one comprehensive tool. The last point is about the unreliable spreadsheet-based tool. Here we guarantee the integrity of the calculations. We have a robust architecture, and you can work with your colleagues on different scenarios and share your scenarios. I'll now hand it over to Brice. And for those joining us mid-session, Brice works at Brittany Ferries, which is OptiCARBON's first clients. We collaborated together. They provided us with the field experience we needed to build this application. And today he'll show you how they use the tool. So thanks again to him for joining us. Over to you, Brice.
Thank you, Jordan. I hope everyone can hear me because I have had some slight internet connection issues. I hope it will stop now and the sound and image will be good. Yes, a few examples of the way we are using OptiCARBON. So Jordan had just explained many things. And in fact, yes, one of the main use for us of that software is the ability to create scenarios and optimize fleet plan. Thanks to the instant response about fuel consumption prediction, you can create as many scenarios as you need. And you can really put numbers on some, let's say, optimization, which is of operation of all ships, which is in fact our first lever in order to carry out savings. Optimization of a fleet plan is, of course, here we are not talking about expensive technologies. We are just, let's say, we are not speaking about sophisticated fuels. So it's just the fact that you can really show numbers to people who are created commercial routes. And one of also the aim of that application, one of the driver was to create a tool that is also easy to use. So you don't have to be a high technical level person to, let's say, create a scenario and get results of reliable results about your expectations for how to run the vessels. And that's why, in fact, once we have had that module of calculation made, very rapidly we saw that we needed to do something about the way we were creating the fleet plans, and this was very well shown by Jordan. This schedule module allowed to, let's say, to create very easily all the legs. We have approximately 5,000 trips to create each year, and it's optimization of even step of 5 minutes can, let's say, can make at the end of the year some big money savings. So thanks to this, we are, let's say, pushing ourselves to be more efficient and to bring response, very rapid response about various options we can consider. As you know, from another subject, it's about shore connection. As you know, from 2030, FuelEU will impose our ships to be connected for calls of more than 2 hours. And being able to calculate the volume of electricity you need in the various ports where we operate, where you have different costs of electricity, different cost of connection, disconnection, ETS, not ETS. So it's not such an easy task to calculate. And thanks to the fact that OptiCARBON has, let's say, take into consideration that possibility of calculating the shore power, it's very rapidly you can evaluate from each of your destination the volume of energy you would require. And you can actually, we have used that to talk to the ports in advance of the 2030 rule to let them know, let's say, the approximate, let's say with a fairly good estimation, the amount of electricity we would require. And that's, of course, it's a very big helper to prepare ourselves for that new use of energy. One thing that OptiCARBON does very well, if you have hybrid vessel batteries on board your ships, and you can also take into consideration the loading charge that will be also required to use the battery. And you can very easily simulate from one same schedule the impact of the use of the battery and also the shore connection. So here you can see we have 3 simulations. The first one is without any shore connection, without any battery. Second one is just a shore connection to let's say for the hotel load. Battery are considered as being off, and then we have shore connection plus battery, and you can see that you can really evaluate the benefits of an hybrid option for let's say certain routes for For example, here it's for the central channel routes and where batteries are quite efficient. The creation of new fuels where you can blend bio or FNBO fuels together with conventional products is also a very good tool that was also explained by Jordan. For us, we have used that to run some simulation to study if a retrofit could be interesting, let's say to shift from, for example, from HFO to LNG. And you can really consider the option of keeping the existing engines using the biodiesel, for instance, versus change of engine and goes for dual fuel options. And this can, let's say, make your life quite easy. Let's say you're getting smarter because you can do much more simulations that you would be able to do just by using conventional spreadsheets. And it gives you, let's say, some confidence of the choice of option you may be able to do. One interesting exercise also we have recently done, there is a wind farm project in the Western Channel, north of the coast of Brittany, close to Roscoff. And this will impact two of our routes. And of course, the questions for us is how much, let's say, because the ships won't be able to cross that red wind farm, which is shown in red on the map here, as you can see. And the ship will have to sail around, so the sailing distance is slightly increased. And you can predict quite accurately what will be the impact in terms of fuel consumptions. A few percent of extra distance to do can make, at the end of the year, several hundred tons of extra consumption of fuel. And it's very nice to know that if you like to negotiate with authorities, let's say mitigating measures for us to accept to have to do that, for instance. So I think we are complete with our presentation.
Yes, thank you, Brice. Just before going to the questions, I just remember that you used also the tool to modelize the late departure by 5-minute slots also. It's something you've done on the tool. It's interesting.
Yes, but let's say we've done that for several things. First of all, to see accurately what gain we can have for each ship, and in fact, in a company like we have, the people who are creating fleet plans, let's say very much linked to the commercial department, and of course the wish to get shorter crossing or to get let's say ships arrival at certain time in order to maximize your business. As the energy is costing more and more, you have to be able to very quickly show figures, and also to give some indications for the crew members so that they have an idea when they have to delay a departure by 10 minutes. 10 minutes over a crossing of 6 hours may not sound very much, but on the central channel, for instance, it's 1 knot of average extra speed. So we need to put figures. that, to explain
Yes.
the importance of not sailing too fast.
Yeah. 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 Then the consumption increases and not uh, constantly with this also.
Mm-hmm.
So we are now in the Q&A session. Thank you very much, Brice, for your valuable insights. You have here also our contacts if you want to send emails, etc. In the same time, I will answer also the published questions. We have one from Seshadri, which is very interesting product and great presentation. Thanks. Digitalization fleet could mean a number of things. Digitalization on one end and sensorization on the other. What is the meaning of digitizing the fleet in this context? So it's a very good question. What we are doing is, so we take into account all the information we have on the engines, the speed power curves, the PTO, etc., and we are building a big matrix of consumption for the vessel so that we know how much it will consume for the propulsion, so for the main engines, for the different um, C margin and speed, because there is a difference between the main engine consumption, but also the boilers consumption and the auxiliary engines consumptions, where we also have typical values of, okay, if I use my boiler for 1 hour in seagoing phase, I know the consumption is this. And if I'm at K, the consumption is this one. It changes so that you are able to have different consumption for the seagoing phase, the call duration, but also there are two other types, including in the tool, which are the anchoring type and the wintering type, with different consumption also. There are less auxiliary engines consumption in the anchoring and even less on the wintering. So you can have this also. So I think it answers the first question. There is also a second one by Seshadri again. He asked if there is any comparisons of predicted versus actual consumption undertaken by Brittany Ferries. I can let you answer this, Chris.
Yes, yes. But of course, we do some comparisons. And we adjust eventually the models. That's something that we are, let's say, doing on the. We monitor the consumption of each of the vessel, of course, and but in fact, you have also to keep in mind that OptiCARBON is done for, let's say, a global consumption. So it's an average consumption that you're getting, not a detailed consumption that, of course, as you know, when a ship goes at seas, you have so many parameters that influence the consumption that it's you cannot predict with let's say with OptiCARBON the consumption you will have that day. But on after 10 crossing or even more, the average is popping out, and this average is not moving very much. And in fact, that's let's say OptiCARBON is really designed to predict that average. And if you like to know exactly what consumption you will have a certain day, then you will have to include some other parameters, sea states, exact draft of the ship, the current, of course, etc., etc. But then you turn into, let's say, a detailed calculation made for a specific crossing day, in fact, with a specific weather forecast and so forth. And this is why, in fact, we have two software. We have OptiCARBON which is made for fuel budgets, schedule optimization, investigation on the long term, evaluation of the ETS, GHGI, etc., etc. This is a perfect tool for that. And for the day-to-day use, you need a weather routing software.
Yes, and to complete this, so as we have started working together for 2 years, we made the consumption matrices at that time, and we have now returns on the accuracy between the prediction and the real consumption of the fuels, were about 95% for the vessels globally.
Yes.
But if I remember well, for the last vessels you have, the e-flexor, it's even better, about 1% difference. And but this is one, as said Brice, it's like an average for the year for this precision.
Yes.
Um,
In fact, we are so sorry. We are getting, let's say, we are having a stabilized consumption after 6 to 10 weeks of regular crossing, and then the average is really starting to be stabilized. And to change that average, you need to do let's say a big change on the schedule of the vessel in order to modify that average. So in fact, that's yes, OptiCARBON is like I said. Is really made to get that average. And when we compare, let's say, the real consumed fuel versus the prediction, on all the crossings, we have variation within the range of 5 plus or minus 4 to 5%. But overall, when we look at the big picture, the accuracy of the result is in the range of less than 1%, which means that it's a bit like when I'm doing a comparison like that, it's a bit like making a weight budget for a new build vessel. You have many lines, many items that are plus minus, and you have tolerances on the mistake. But the important point is that the middle line is, let's say, right, because the cloud is not too thick and it's sufficiently dense so that the average line can be drawn. And then the result at the end is good. And that's what we are looking for.
yes, thank you for this, Brice. I don't see that much other questions. We also add this one from Nicola to get insight or some real calculation when you use OptiCARBON. So example of the difference. And when not using OptiCARBON with real numbers and savings, I think we answered that during the presentation. And the example of Brice, the question was happening in the beginning of the webinar. So maybe now Nicola has the answers. I see. Okay. Seshadri says thank you for the answers. Okay, so what I can say also is that at the end of the webinar, you will be directly redirected to the OptiCARBON webpage. But you can also type OptiCARBON on your internet search engine and you'll find the page. But there you can access a European tax simulator to get an idea of what your company might pay in the coming years for FuelEU Maritime and the EU ETS. And you can also request a 30-day free trial of the application. The trial uses standard vessels, so not yours, not your specific vessel with their consumption, but it gives you an idea of how the tool works and how you could benefit from it. So please feel free to contact me as well if you need anything, if you have questions after that, if you need a demo, and I can help you introduce the tool within your company if you think it would be a good fit for you.
I may also able to answer some questions on specific on our specific application also. I will be glad to do so.
Okay, thank you all for attending this webinar. Thank you, Brice, for sharing your valuable insights and testimony, and have a good day.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you for your great presentation. Sorry for my internet connection, but at the end it works.
Yes, thank you, Brice.